What is Koia? Koia is a platform to buy, trade, and collect fractions linked to iconic assets. We're starting with assets such as watches, whiskey, and Pokemon cards. How it works is that the first step is sourcing. We buy rare and unique assets from professional dealers as well as collectors and authenticate these items. We then store each item in secure storage locations and take care of insurance. For example, wine is stored in specialist bonded warehouses that have the right conditions in terms of temperature and humidity, and watches are stored in safety deposit boxes. The next step is fractionalization. We mint digital tokens called fractions, which are linked to the real asset. Each asset can have hundreds or thousands of unique fractions, which can be collected, traded, and enjoyed. Fractions will be released for initial sale via our app, and once you want to sell your fractions, you can do so via third-party NFT marketplaces or via Koia's marketplace, which will be live later in 2022. Alternatively, you can receive your share of the proceeds when a buyout offer is received and approved by the fraction holders.
So what are alternative assets? When we talk about alternative assets, we're referring to anything that isn't traditional, like stocks or bonds. Perhaps the most well-known alternative asset is real estate. It's something we're all familiar with. But the universe of alternatives is so much bigger than that. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry with everything from private equity infrastructure products to crypto hedge funds. At Koia, our focus is initially on collectibles, or as they're often called, passion assets. These passion assets are often worth more than they're initially sold for because they're rare, in high demand, or unique for some reason. At Koia, we're starting with assets like watches, Pokemon cards, and whiskey. So why would you want to buy, collect, or trade alternative assets? Well, there's three main reasons: passion, diversification, and profits. Starting with passion, at Koia, we believe in letting people buy, collect, and trade fractions of assets they really care about. Whether you're a classic car fan or would love to invest in a Hermes bag, Koia has you covered. Next, diversification. So unlike certain cryptocurrencies or many financial products, collectibles are often uncorrelated with traditional financial markets. That means when the price of the stock market falls, collectibles might not, and vice versa. They're a way of diversifying your portfolio. And adding a diversified mix of assets can actually improve your returns and reduce volatility over longer time periods. Finally, profits. Historically, many alternative assets, be it whiskies, rare comic books, or classic cars, have actually delivered really impressive returns. Many of these assets are also called Veblen goods, which means as the price goes up, people actually find them more desirable, which in turn increases demand. So at Koia, we let you trade fractions of assets that you're passionate about, whether you're looking just for some diversification, whether you're in it for the profit, or whether you just love the underlying asset. So how does fractionalization actually work at Koia? We use non-fungible tokens, also called NFTs, to enable this fractionalization process. Each fraction is a unique digital asset linked to real-world assets on the Koia platform, such as a watch, a collection of whiskey bottles, or a Pokemon card. As a holder of this fraction, you'll be able to vote on key decisions related to the underlying asset. For example, you can vote when to sell the asset, and also at what price you want to sell. The number of fractions minted will depend on the value of the underlying asset. We won't mint more fractions, the supply will be fixed, and you'll be able to see the number on the Koia app. You can view fractions in the Koia wallet, in the app, or on third-party wallets. Think MetaMask or even third-party NFT marketplaces like OpenSea. When you're ready to sell a fraction, you can either do so on our marketplace, which is coming soon, or on third-party existing NFT marketplaces. When the underlying asset is sold, based on your decision as a fraction holder, you'll get pro rata proceeds based on the number of fractions you hold.
What are NFTs and why do we use them? Our vision is to open up access to alternative assets, and we want to enable anyone to buy, trade, and collect fractions linked to these iconic assets. We believe non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, are a great way to enable our vision. In essence, NFTs are unique tokens acting as unchangeable digital ownership certificates. Most of the use cases so far have centered around NFTs as digital art and digital collectibles. But NFTs can be linked to any type of content and represent, for example, ownership of a physical collectible, real estate, or intellectual property rights. There are a few reasons why NFTs work well for Koia's use case. The three most important ones are, firstly, transparency. Every transaction is recorded on chain for everyone to see. This is easily verifiable for outside parties as well as our users. Secondly, liquidity and tradability. We're tapping into a fast-moving and rapidly growing market. Huge amounts of money is being invested in crypto and NFTs by a diverse group of retail investors, collectors, and institutions, all adding to making this an active and liquid market. Using NFTs means that Koia's users will be able to trade their fractions on Koia's marketplace, which will be launched later this year, as well as third-party NFT marketplaces. And lastly, accessibility. Our vision is to make alternative assets accessible to anyone, and that means keeping minimum amounts to get started, as well as our fees low. NFTs allow us to fulfill all these criteria.
So how do we deal with storage, insurance, and authentication at Koia? So all the assets we list on the platform are stored securely by us or our third-party partners. It depends on the asset itself. For example, wine is stored in bonded storage facilities, and we ensure that the lighting, humidity, and temperature is correct. Watches are stored in safety deposit boxes. Whenever you're trading fractions, either on our marketplace or if you're using third-party NFT marketplaces, the asset itself doesn't move, it's just the fractions. We ensure that everything is insured at market value, and prior to listing assets on the platform, we make sure they're authentic. We check the provenance and ensure that the paperwork, as well as the seller, match up.